Why it sucks to be motivated one day and lose the next. Welcome to the channel Rewire Mind Lab. In this video, we explore why motivation disappears so quickly and why you feel deeply driven one day, then emotionally disconnected the next. You'll learn about dopamine, emotional regulation, and discover the hidden psychological patterns behind inconsistency. Stay till the last on this insightful journey. One day, you feel ready to change your life. You make plans. You organize your thoughts. You imagine a better version of yourself. And for a moment, it feels real. But then the next morning comes, and suddenly, the energy is gone. The same goals that felt meaningful now feel distant. So you start wondering, how can I want something so badly one day and feel nothing on the next day? What if the problem isn't your discipline? Real problem is your brain is never designed to stay emotionally consistent in the first place. Most people think motivation is a personality trait. Like some people simply have it and others don't. You wake up inspired after watching a video. You promise yourself that this time will be different. Then a few hours later, you scroll endlessly, avoid important work, ignore messages, delay simple tasks for no clear reason. And the strange part is, you're aware of it while it's happening. That creates a painful kind of self-talk. I'm wasting my potential. Why can't I stay consistent? Over time, inconsistency stops feeling like a habit. It starts feeling like your identity. Behavioral psychology calls this a self-efficacy collapse. Repeated inconsistency slowly weakens your belief that your actions matter. And once that belief weakens, your brain starts conserving effort automatically. Not because you're lazy, because your nervous system no longer trusts the reward. But there's another layer most people never notice. Motivation is deeply tied to emotional state, and emotional states are inherently unstable. The version of you making plans at midnight is neurologically different from the version of you waking up tired the next morning. That sounds strange, but it explains more than people realize. You are not broken because your motivation changes. Your brain is adaptive. Human beings evolved to respond to immediate emotional environments, not long-term abstract goals. Thousands of years ago, survival depended on responding to what felt urgent at the moment, not maintaining a 5-year vision. Your brain still carries that ancient wiring. So when motivation appears, it's usually attached to emotion: hope, fear, excitement, relief, comparison. But emotions are weather systems. They move. And when the emotional weather changes, your brain changes priorities with it. The problem is not that motivation fades. The problem is that you built your identity around a temporary emotional state. And when the feeling disappeared, you thought the goal disappeared too. But feelings are not reliable narrators. Sometimes they are just temporary chemical conditions. And understanding that changes everything. Here's what's happening beneath the surface. Motivation is heavily connected to dopamine. But dopamine is often misunderstood. It's not the reward chemical. It's the anticipation chemical. Your brain releases dopamine more strongly when it predicts a possibility, not when the work becomes repetitive. That's why starting feels exciting, and continuing feels strangely empty and therefore difficult. Imagine motivation like a flashlight in a dark forest. At first, the beam is bright. You can clearly see the future. But the farther you walk, the narrower the beam becomes. Your brain stops rewarding imagination and starts calculating effort. That's where most people collapse emotionally, because they confuse reduced stimulation with reduced meaning. There's also something psychologists call state-dependent behavior, meaning your thoughts, decisions, and confidence are strongly influenced by your current emotional state. The confident version of you and the exhausted version of you literally access different mental patterns. It's almost like your brain stores different versions of reality depending on mood. Which explains why some mornings your goals feel meaningful, and other days they feel emotionally invisible. So the real challenge is not creating motivation. It's learning how to move even when your emotional state changes, and that requires a different system entirely. I would discuss practical framework to counter this. 1. Stop trusting emotional momentum. Motivation feels powerful because emotion creates urgency. But urgency is temporary. Instead of asking, "Do I feel motivated?" ask, "What action is small enough to survive a low-energy day?" This works because the brain resists uncertainty and overwhelm. Smaller actions reduce threat perception in the nervous system. Example, instead of, "I'll study for 3 hours," you sit for 5 minutes and open the document. That tiny action lowers psychological resistance. 2. Build identity from repetition, not emotion. Your brain learns identity through evidence, not intentions. Every repeated behavior becomes a signal. I am someone who shows up. I am someone who continues, even in small ways. Neuroscience calls this experience-dependent rewiring. Repeated actions strengthen neural pathways. Example, a person who writes 1 paragraph daily develops stronger creative identity than someone who waits for inspiration once a month. Consistency teaches the brain what to expect from you. 3. Separate feelings from decisions. This is one of the hardest psychological shifts, because modern life teaches you to follow how you feel, but feelings fluctuate too quickly. Instead, create fixed decisions before emotions interfere. Behavioral scientists call these implementation intentions. Pre-decided actions reduce decision fatigue. Example, instead of deciding every day whether to exercise, you create one fixed rule. After tea at 6 p.m., I walk for 15 minutes. Now the brain follows pattern instead of negotiation. 4. Reduce invisible mental noise. Many people think they lack motivation, but often they lack recovery. An overstimulated brain struggles to maintain sustained attention. Constant scrolling, notifications, and comparison overload the dopamine system, and overloaded systems become emotionally numb. Try creating moments of silence. No music, no content, no stimulation. At first, it feels uncomfortable. Then your mind slowly becomes clearer again, like muddy water finally settling. So motivation was never supposed to carry your entire life. Maybe motivation is only the spark, not the engine. The real engine is something quieter, a system that survives emotional weather, a way of acting that doesn't depend on constantly feeling inspired. Because the truth is, your future is not built by your most motivated days. It's built by the ordinary days when you still move a little forward, even without certainty, even without emotion. And strangely, those are usually the days that change you the most. You don't need to become a permanently motivated person. No human being truly is. You only need to stop treating temporary emotional states as permanent truths. Some days your mind will feel clear. Some days it won't. But your life is shaped less by intensity and more by continuity. The ability to return to yourself, return to the work, return to the path, again and again, even quietly, even imperfectly. As saying goes, discipline is remembering what matters after the feeling fades. If you liked the content, consider subscribing and sharing with whom you care.